Welcome to the Unsung Photographer. Hey guys, how you doing today? It's Bob Kearns, the Unsung Photographer, and today we're going to try something a little different. A friend of mine said most of the tutorials he was watching online and various education sites were pretty complicated and required quite a bit of gear and a lot of investment money-wise. And he said the one thing he really wished is they would just show you how to take a picture of an apple with window light and make it look nice. I said, well, okay, that sounds like a really good idea. So today's star is this lovely little red delicious and some window light in the kitchen, and we're going to try and take a photograph that sort of represents what still life can be and maybe some of what the Dutch masters used to do. So let's have a go and get to work on the apple. First thing we have to figure out is which way's the light coming in. And the easiest way to tell is to put your hand, and you can see the light is traveling in this direction here. The shadow's long behind the apple. And that's kind of nice. So we have this really pretty shadow. We've got a nice piece of tile here on the kitchen table, so that's not too terribly tough. So what are we going to do now? Well, I like to run my camera in manual. So what we could do is go ahead and we'll just look at our meter, set our ISO up, keep it pretty low, say 100. Point it at our little apple here. Let me see, get my dog's bowl out of the way. Take the lens cap off, always a big help. Just saying. Focus in on our pretty little apple. Make sure we're nicely in focus. Yeah, it's a f3.5, 400th of a second. I'm going to lock this in, and I'll show you why I'm at. And there's our photograph. It's a perfectly lovely picture of an apple. Except we run out of light at the top a little bit. And the depth of field is pretty shallow. In other words, the whole apple isn't in focus. So what can we do to help that? Well, we can change our framing a little bit. Tilt the camera down so we get a little more light at the top of the frame. And then focus on that nice little shiny spot on our apple. And click. There we go. Settings haven't changed. We just changed the framing a little bit. And we've got a pretty nice applegram, if we want to call it that. But what's wrong with this picture? Well, let's have a look-see here. Well, you've got that really, really, really bright spot. Yeah, the shadow I kind of like. Oh, it's a very dark shadow. That's fine. But then the backdrop where the tile is kind of goes away. And we run into this piece of brown wood that's on the table. So what can we do about that? Well, move some of my furniture a little bit. So let's reposition again. One thing we can do is there's a chair here that's throwing a shadow on the front. I'm going to walk around. I hope your kitchen, you get a couple of grandkids and they suck up some space. So what we can do is just move that chair back and get that shadow out of the way. We can even move our apple up a little bit. Boom, 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 boom. And give us a little more room to work with. We can also look at these lines here where the tiles are and use those as leading lines in our composition. So let's do this again. Loosen our camera up. Take a spin around. A little fine tuning. That's prettier. Now this isn't going to be, I don't think, unless we're really lucky, in the Apple Hall of Fame, but would be nice to hang in the kitchen, maybe. I think. And there we go. That's a pretty nice picture. But wow, those shadows are really dark. And that shiny thing is really shiny. So what can we do about that? Well, hey, here's something creative. Let's lower the blinds. La 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 la. Oh, it's a little darker. There's a little fruit fly. But that shiny spot is a lot less shiny. But we lost a lot of light. So what are we going to have to do? Well, we can turn our ISO up. We can turn our shutter speed down. Or we can open our aperture. We're already at like a 3.5. So let's turn our shutter speed down because we're on a tripod. So we've got all the time in the world. So we could turn this down to, oh, I don't know, 25th of a second if we want. And there we have a lovely picture at 25th of a second. My apples, I seem to have moved this. Let's try again. Oh, that's a little better. We don't have that big shine. We have a little less contrast, but we can deal with that easy enough. Let's look at the composition. It's pretty pretty. What did we lose? We lost that really interesting shadow. Even though it was really dark, I kind of like that. So what can we do about that? Well, interesting shadows. Okay. Let's go back to the blinds over here. I'm not going to walk all the way around again. Let's try opening the blinds. See what that looks like. Oh, now it's looking kind of cool. And a little bit of that shiny spot back, but guess what we can do? We can move our apple in and out of these stripes of light and kind of control the shiny spot. Shiny spot's right there. Oh, look what I just did. You cheating booger, you. I suppose it go this way. Oh, it's pretty nice. Move our apple back a little bit. So now we have some even more interesting shadows and texture. Let's get up here with our camera again and frame our shot. Not too hard. There we go. A lovely apple in focus. And have another click. Oh, that's pretty nice. It's a little overexposed because we didn't adjust. Turn my shutter speed up to about 60th of a second. And that's really, really pretty. So now we have a kind of a nice apple shot right on our kitchen table, using nothing but the window and the blinds for a modifier, our window being our light source or the sun. And we've got a really nice, pretty picture of an apple that you could hang on your kitchen wall. It looks really nice. I don't have a problem with that at all. You could even spin the apple around a little. Find a little more texture, like there's a little more color. Let's make sure we're in focus, then move the apple. We have some interesting lines from the kitchen table. You could have wood grain, you could have glass for reflection, whatever kind of table you have is just fine. And that's a really nice photograph. So there we go. That's how easy it is. You don't need a fancy camera. You don't need fancy modifiers. You don't need $200 softbox. You don't need a lot of cash. And you can be really creative with your apple. You could make it I don't know, an apple and a butterfly, if you wanted to, for some peculiarly strange reason, and add to the frame a little bit. You have a squiggly butterfly at the bottom. I don't know why you would do this. And it adds a little color. You put that butterfly up here in the sunlight and leave it out of focus, so it just adds a little blurry color in the back. Right? I kind of like that. It's different. Maybe tilt it a little bit. Pretty good. We can clear some of the dirt that was on the bottom of it because I pulled it out of a plant that was sitting here. Right? That's pretty cool. Oh, sun's changing. It's getting a little darker. Hang on. Cloud, yep, cloud went by. That's something you have to learn to expect. Wait for clouds. And so there you go. All right, guys. Questions, hints, tips, whatever you'd like to know, post it on the Facebook page. Go to my website. You can find my email address there. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have, or even do a question of the week just for you guys. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.
Shall we begin?